Welcome everyone. Today we have our another new episode and we have a very good discussions. We will discuss on the AI economy, opportunities and challenges. As right now, World Talent Economic Forum, we are operating in Bangladesh. Uh, I have my teachers. He's my childhood teacher, Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyom, and he's very, very famous in politics and policy developments in Bangladesh. Uh, he is senior members. He was parliament member and senior member of Bangladesh Nationalist Parties. Also, we have our world famous speakers, Mr. Rob Enderle from USA, from Enderle Group. Also, Mr. David Smith from USA. So you know that AI economy is very important aspect for Bangladesh, for emerging economy. And when we form our next parliaments, AI policy development reformations will be very valuable for us. That's why today's session is very important, and we are trying to figure out how country like Bangladesh or South Asia can improve their AI policies. What is the opportunities we have and what kind of challenges we have. So for that particular issues, for us, first I want to give chance Mr. Rob Enderle. Mr. Rob, what you want to discuss about today's session?
Sure. So artificial intelligence is moving rather rapidly from a scientific experiment to full-on implementation. You've got virtually every industry is adopting it to some degree, though inside the industries, companies are varied in terms of their rate of adoption, trial, and implementation. Up to date, we've been running somewhere between a 70 and 90% failure rate in AI implementations. Largely due to the fact that a good chunk of people don't know what they're doing, and so they're throwing technology at the problem, not experience, and that's problematic. And this is where kind of education needs to step in. That we need a much deeper understanding in industry of how to use AI appropriately, which tools are appropriate for which kinds of tasks, and then how to put in place milestones and incentives to assure that the projects meet their goals, objectives, and budgets. The problem with these early phase technology pivots is very often the rigor that should go into planning, upskilling, and implementation isn't done, and the end result is there's a rush to implement without the foundational elements being in place, and so where we do have the greatest successes are areas where the companies have a critical mass of people that understand the technology, the vendors that they're using have a knowledge of the technology that they're selling, and the technology is appropriate for the industry and company it's being targeted at. When those foundational elements are in place, you tend to have a much higher success rate. This isn't to say that AI is failing by any stretch of the imagination. The technology is performant, but like any other tool, not everything is created equally, and certain platforms perform better in certain areas. And so this is an area that desperately needs expertise. And because it ramped to market so fast, the expertise is just now starting to spin up. And sadly, a lot of the expertise that's being created is being created out of these failures, where if the expertise had been created first, before the implementation's been tried, a lot of money would be saved and a lot of aggravation avoided. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're kind of still in the early phases of AI deployment. We're still talking mostly generative AI at the moment. AGI is still off into our future, and the problems that we're having mostly have to do with a mismatch between skills, products, and the tasks they're pointed out.
Thank you. Mr. David Smith, my next question for you. How is AI transformation traditional industries and what new economic opportunity is it creating for the business and workers? And especially country like Bangladesh, when they are uh, introducing the strategy of AI, so what they need to focus, how they can improve their strategy.
Well, Dr. Sharif, thank you for that question. It's one that there's a lot of things in there, and I'm also going to touch on a couple of the points that Rob made as well, and expand up on them if I can. Because if you look at AI, it's really not just changing business. AI is reshaping the very fabric of our society. And like any big change, transformation, it has both really profound opportunities and it has challenges that have to come with it. And, the economic impact of AI is just staggering as you look at that too. Uh, and as we begin to look at part of the challenges we're going to have here is things like workforce displacement, but workforce relearning. As machines become more adept at performing our tasks, we're going to have to talk about things like job automation, reskilling. How do we change them? How do we deal with some of the other interesting things in there? But let me start with a couple of reactions to Rob and then jump deeper into yours. I agree with Rob. Most of the AI implementations, they have been failures. And they've been failures not just because of technology, but there have been failures because the infrastructure is not in place to use AI. And it's not just technology infrastructure. Yes, you have to have a good technology base of communications, of processing, of access to, for example, sensors in a smart city and other things like that on the manufacturing floor to use AI effectively. But the real thing that most people miss, and part of the root cause for a lot of these failures, is we don't understand that data is what makes AI work. And that's one of the huge challenges. I actually, in a presentation I said yesterday, that artificial intelligence is only as brilliant as the data it stands upon. Without really good quality data, even the most advanced AI is a castle built upon sand, and it's sinking, shifting sand. And that is so true as you look at AI. You've got to put the data in place. And as you implement AI in Bangladesh and other places, you first have to make sure you have good data, good quality data that can be used there. Then you have to work on the other infrastructure elements. Do you have enough broadband? Do you have enough processing power? Particularly with data governance laws and privacy laws, do you have enough computational resources within your border where you can keep your citizens' data there versus spread it across the world? And then you have to talk about the people skills of being able to use AI. You're going to have to do the reskilling we talked about. You're going to have to make sure that all parts of management of a company, the workers, the logistics and everything understand AI for it to be effective. And that's going to be a lot of training. You look at how it's transforming industries and things. It's doing it across the board from manufacturing to healthcare, retail, agriculture, transportation, finance, everything. There was a study I was looking at earlier in this week out of one of the law publications that said they believe artificial intelligence is going to replace 75% of the lawyers. And only the lawyers who go and stand before judges and before juries are going to be the survivors. And that doesn't mean they're going to go away. It means they're going to have to adapt new skills and things to do that. The other thing to kind of answer your question, Sharif, is that for Bangladesh and others, it's going to create a lot of new economic opportunities. And economic development is one of the real pluses you're going to see out of it. For businesses, it's going to help us leverage new innovative products and services. And see that it's going to allow market expansion to analyze the data and let AI analyze the data to identify new markets and tailor offerings for different demographics. That's one of the big changes is by the way we can use digital twins, the way we can use AI to generate very rapidly multiple scenarios. Market expansion for those demographics become easier. You're going to see efficiency gain because you're going to be able to automate repetitive tasks, you're going to automate workflows, and by doing that, you're going to be able to reinvest in other areas because that's going to let you cut costs. And for workers, though, they're going to have to upskill their skills and relearn new things. Dr. Sharif, we talk all the time about how we're in a time of lifelong learning. And the introduction of AI, particularly with the rapid pace of the introduction of AI, we need to accelerate the trend on lifelong learning and how that puts in place. And you're going to see new roles like an AI trainer or an automation specialist. We're going to see new roles of the AI machine human connection where humans will come in and provide empathy. They'll come in and provide the other elements, and you will see a team approach between the AI tools and the humans on there. And you're going to see AI create a lot of new growth in jobs and the ecosystem around it. You're going to see growth in robotics. You're going to see growth in cybersecurity. You're going to see growth in data management. And these are going to create a lot of new job opportunities there. And, AI has been such a big impact, and the economic opportunities are vast, but we need to work through these challenges. And the Technopolis approach of balancing the commercial sector, the government sector, and the academic sector together is going to be one of the key necessary areas for countries like yours to be able to excel with applying this AI.
Thank you. We have our very, very special guest, Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyom. He is my childhood teacher. So I started my learning from his school. His school name was Umkur Collegiate School. So we believe in lifelong learning. Still, I'm learning from him about Bangladesh, about the Bangladeshi culture, the philosophy. Long time I was abroad. When I come back, always I meet with him. So, Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyam, perhaps after the next elections, you and your political party will form government in Bangladesh. So, what's your thoughts for economic developments of Bangladesh or in South Asia? How you want to engage with AI educations or technology related things?
Thank you very much.
I cannot hear
District,
you.
can you hear me?
Yes.
District speakers, Assalamu alaikum.
Uh, Sir, I cannot hear you clearly.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just garbled.
We can hear you.
Hello? শুনতে পাচ্ছ না? Hello?
Yeah, now it's clear. Yeah, now it's clear.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable distinguished speakers. Thank you very much. It is my great honor to speak on this very important issue. But really, I'm not very knowledgeable person about your AI. And also, I'm in politics in Bangladesh. But always we are thinking about our development in this area, in our country and also as well as Southeast Asia, how we can develop our country and how we can go uh, fast growing country as a fast growing country. We're trying in many ways, in our country and in Southeast Asia, we are trying to develop our country in various ways. But actually, artificial intelligence is no longer just a futuristic idea. It is shaping economy, industry, and societies worldwide. Bangladesh is now emerging economy, it's a turning point where strategically we can drive economy, create job and improve public services. But at the same time, we must address challenges such as skill development, ethical concerns, and infrastructure readiness, especially in a region like area, like especially my area is Rwanda, which have enormous potential but need the right policy and investment to thrive in this all the future. And if we uh, use our AI, then it can help for our agricultural development, our health care, education, and school skill development, AI for business and entrepreneurship. And if we use AI can help us for AI smart governance. But now it is very clear. We have to decide first how we can use the AI. AI is very new technology and very super technology in our country. You know, our country is not very developed country. Technologically, the Southeast Asia is not very fast and very developed. So this for this area, it is very difficult for us to move with our own economy, with our own faith. So we need some support from international community. If the international community support us to implement the new technology, and it is possible for our country and for Southeast Asia to emerge a very developed economic country. This is my concept, but you know, uh, we can discuss about it. It is very important topics. How we can move forward. That is our main issue. So it is my opinion. There, let us work together, east and west, and developed country. If they can move with their economic vision, then it is possible for they get it possible to achieve our goal. One thing in here, you know, that the political situation of this area is not very good. In Southeast Asia, many, almost every country is in very disturbing situation, very unrested situation is going on. In my country, that is also, when you see the Pakistan, India, Myanmar, and many countries, they are not in very good position about political settlement. The political settlement is very important issue, I think so. To implement any new concept or any new technology or any policy. But we should think about our sustainable political sustainability and political peace and political uh, settlement in this area. It is very important, I think. Without political settlement, it will be very difficult for us to implement anything. It may be whatever that technology or new policy or any other anything. It is very difficult for us. So it is depend on the big, most powerful countries. They have to decide for how they want to handle other countries, especially the superpower. They are making some policies to rule the world. That is the problem. So I think it should decide to run the country, to rule the country in which way they can survive with their own resource and with their own capacity. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Alinor. Thank you for your excellent contributions from your experience, Mr. Alinor Mahmoud Koyal. Now I want to give just Mr. Rob. Uh, Mr. Rob, my next question for you. Uh, about the challenges. What are the key challenges in ensuring AI driven economics growth is inclusive and does not exacerbate economic inequality?
Well, it's expensive. The AI and the use of AI is very costly, and so the benefits tend to flow to organizations and people that can afford the services, as opposed to people that might be able to use the services more to either enhance or overcome educational, physical disabilities. The like anything else, and this is almost always true of technology as it comes to market, it tends to come in at the top, and eventually we hope it trickles down to others that need it. But AI goes where the funding is, and so it tends to, and it's expensive. It still costs around, though we've got smaller models that are less expensive, and LLM still costs around $100 million to spin up. That's costly. And while you can use smaller models and LLM derivatives to drop the cost, it's hard to get the cost down for developing a unique model below $1 million, even with a ton of creativity. So the technology tends to flow where the money is, and that means into developed countries, into companies that are well funded. And away from smaller firms and emerging economies. Now that doesn't mean that there aren't AI resources that are available. Clearly, the web-based AI models, which can be used to enhance productivity across a broad spectrum, are available, but they're not. That you can get a certain amount of access for free, and certainly that can allow you to train up. But often for the free services, if you use them too much, you'll get blocked, particularly if you're creating images at the moment. I think you're allowed 1 or 2 images a day now in ChatGPT if you're on the free service. And they're even cutting back access for those of us that pay for the service because they're complaining that the image creation side of the effort are melting their processors. We're really pounding on the data centers. So at the moment, much of the resources are flowing where the money is, but that doesn't mean that people can't learn the tools and spin up skills by learning how to better prompt. Both Chrome and both Google and Microsoft Bing have spun to AI models, and you can use those free models to learn how to better prompt and begin to create a skill set that will allow you to interoperate or make use of AI skills. And that's certainly suggested. The better you are with this, the better off you're probably going to do in future jobs, much like in the past, where you kind of had to know, you had to know typing when I was coming to market, but nowadays you kind of have to have basic computer skills and know how to use Office. As we move forward, you're going to have to know how to prompt, and you're going to have to know how to properly prompt to do the variety of tasks you're being asked to complete. So those core AI skills can be gained without a ton of money, because we've got access through the search engines to basic AI implementations, which can help train you to prompt. And ChatGPT still has a free portion of the service, as does Google Gemini. Both of those will allow you to do a little bit of work for free before you actually have to pay for the services. And the services aren't that expensive, but still, if you're on a very tight budget and you're having trouble paying for your water and power, let alone internet access, it may be a bridge too high for a lot of folks. So the way that you spin over to this, of course, is through education, through college programs that are funded by government, and helping and collectively helping people spin up the critical AI skills they need, walk them through AI implementations, and help train them on the success, the areas of success, and particularly how to do appropriate quality checks and error checks in AI offerings, because the quality aspect of AI has been, again, degrading of late, which does provide an opportunity for people to come in as quality control to bring up the overall quality of the product until we kind of learn the DeepSeek method and put more focus into using AI to assure quality as opposed to people. That's kind of where we are at the moment. So there are opportunities right now, but for the most part, because it's such an expensive service, to spin up and to use, it's mostly going to areas that are well funded, and certainly governments can make a difference here because they can afford to spend that cost over a large number of people and allow access, where otherwise access may be denied because of economics.
Thank you. Mr. David, my next question for you, because we have our real policymaker. So how can policymakers and business collaborate to address ethical concern and regulatory challenge in the AI economy? What's your thoughts?
Policymakers play a really critical role in ensuring the AI economy grows responsibly and ethically. And policymakers need to work with the other parts of the Technopolis, that the universities, the academia needs to work with all types of business, large businesses, medium-sized, and startups to really get there. And from a policymaker standpoint, the collaboration between these stakeholders is really essential, totally necessary to navigate the regulatory and ethical complexity we see with artificial intelligence and how they can work together. From earlier talking, one of the big things as we see from the policymakers is there needs to be clear guidance on what are the rules with privacy for the people using the AI tools and the data and things. We're seeing all around the world different type of privacy policies put in place. Some of them protecting more just like healthcare information, but others going much further than that. And we're seeing policies where the information, certain classes of information on the citizens cannot leave the country, for example, or here in the United States, even at the state level, because we have almost 20 states right now with privacy laws that affect data movement of the citizens of that state. So that's a policy area that's going to be very important for the policymakers. We need to really set up and establish some pretty transparent guidelines for policymakers. So define clear regulations that provide acceptable practices for the development and deployment of AI tools, and focus on, as your question asks, some of the fairness, the accountability, and transparency. And businesses need to consult with a policymaker to develop those, because the industry insights need to be there to ensure guidelines are practical and enforceable. And what's very important to the policymaker on that part, Dr. Sri, is that AI tools are going to be global tools. And so that the policymaker needs to think globally and focus locally as they work on these type of policies. Because AI is a tool that AI are tools that are going to be used globally. The data is being generated to create global learning modules, LLMs. And so the policymaker has to have both that global view and that local view as you put these together. Policymakers need to encourage the adoption of ethical frameworks, such as the principles of fairness, privacy, inclusivity, and we'll set up not just policy, but rules and regulations that go with that. I think one of the big things policymakers are going to need to do, particularly in the near term, as AI becomes more stable, as it becomes more involved in business, is that I believe in countries like Bangladesh and others, you're going to see the need to set up public-private partnerships to be able to train the workforce and to retrain the workforce. And those are two separate things that go hand in hand. The people that are displaced by the use of AI tools will need to be retrained, reskilled. But you also need to educate a whole new set of human capital, human infrastructure to be able to work with these advances in AI. The data centers are going to be different. The way you wrangle, the way you clean up data, and things will be different going forward. And you're going to have to create new classes of people, and public-private partnerships are one of those that can be really great there. And the other one that I think policymakers, it's not going to be totally evident to them, but policymakers are going to need to set up relationships and collaborations between government entities and the business and academia. The government systems are going to need to take advantage of AI and build AI to do a lot of the things, just generative AI, just chat bots can have a significant input on government operations and on communications with the citizens and other things. And to make that work effectively, it needs to be some public-private partnerships to make those work. And you're going to see your academic institutions being able to, particularly with the government utilization of it, be able to create significant insight for the other policymakers. So that role of a policymaker role of ensuring these public-private partnerships and those collaborations is totally key critical for it. Last couple of things. Policymakers, you have to allocate resources for education reskilling. Have to allocate resources. And you need to really work on how to encourage communities to adapt to AI, to understand the AI regulations, to ensure that the policies reflect the concerns and needs of society. And once again, I don't want to make this one too light, or too strong either, but policymakers need to work with international organizations and other countries to establish universal standards for ethical AI, for ensuring consistency across borders, and to look at how to understand the best practices. And there needs to be focus at this global standard level to harmonize and reduce regulatory conflicts between the different entities there. And that is a new role for many policymakers, particularly with AI and how dependent it is on good data. That's one of the most important ones.
Thank you. Thank you. This is excellent discussion. Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyum, as you are politicians and I am a good observer of politics, just today, Dhaka 6 50 years master plan from Beijing for water. You will be happy that our institution, World Talent Economic Forum institutions in Silicon Valley with big art technology, with Tandos and St. Edward University, with Japan's, we develop Kokoro, Wisdom app. And this Wisdom app is invented by Bangladeshi scientists or the American scientists. And we have the ability to make master plan with the help of AI uh, uh, for Bangladesh. But why we always looking for master plan from abroad, let's say from China or from Japan, if you come to power, it will change strategically. We can invent or we can build our own policy, what Mr. David Smith and Mr. Rob say.
Yeah, actually, Mr. David Smith and Mr. Rob Anthony they narrated very detailed. But actually, as our country, we have always trying to follow the foreign plan to develop our country. For that reason, it is very natural that we are making some 5 years, 10 years plan to do some work, like the mega project, mega project we are taking as our development concern. And for that reason, we are looking many things in our country. That's our People is not habituated in many new methods. And for that reason, we are making some plan for 5 years, 10 years. We are trying to follow the 5 years plan or 10 years plan for different aspects like water, environment, and also health, agriculture, everything. But it is a very big question is for good governance. Good governance is a very important issue. If we cannot establish the good governance, it is very difficult for us to implement all the things. The AI can, I think, help. AI can help us for to take the decision or to narrate everything with the help of AI. But one thing Mr. Endel mentioned here that it's very costly AI, and it is very difficult to reach for our people the AI technology in our life. And also, this is very big question is the policy matter. The policy should be taken for in from the government side and the entrepreneurship and the business community. But among them, we can go for many partnership. But the question is that the partnership and the relationship between uh, the collaboration between people and the government. It is difficult for us to reach without a very modern and scientific plan and scientific and modern method if we don't use. That will be very difficult for our country. So now we can uh, look forward to make a big plan to implement AI in our every aspect in our life. I think that will be better for us, and we should look forward to implement the modern technology. Then our country will get the better life for our citizens. Our communication is very important factor. But now still in South Asia, communication is not very well, very good position. For that reason, the communication and cooperation between the countries, it is one of the barrier, I think, to make the policies. If we want to make the policy, then the cooperation is must. The South Asian countries, they have to go for the well communication and cooperation, and that then it is possible for possible to implement the AI and get the modern facilities in our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your excellent contribution. Mr. Rob, my next question for you, because Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyam shaping more global collaboration and partnership. What role does AI play in reshaping global trade, and how can developing nations like Bangladesh leverage AI for economic competitiveness?
Well, AI is a force multiplier. And as a result, that means that things that typically might have been built outside of a country can be more easily built and created inside of a company, especially when it comes to non-physical products like software. Currently, I think AI is projected to be doing about 90% of the software development by the end of this year, and in 2026 we'll probably get to close to 100%. But we do have some very severe quality problems as we go to these advanced models that need to be addressed. But it's a force multiplier, and so if you apply it properly, you can do things more inexpensive. You do more things more inexpensively over time. And as we apply AI to robotics, the ability to spin up a manufacturing plant becomes easier because you don't need as many skilled workers as you used to require to build up manufacturing. Now, there are economic issues we have to be concerned with as we spin up factories that use few workers. We've certainly seen that with data centers, which are largely automated. You use a lot of labor to build the data center, but once the data center is up and running, it only requires a handful of people, probably more people to secure the data center than to actually operate it. And so there is an issue as we switch over to highly automated factories, which you can place any place, developing countries or whatever. And in fact, with this tariff war we're currently, sadly, in the middle of, regionalization is the current trend. And so the companies wanting and needing to build in specific regions or in specific countries to avoid tariffs becomes far more important under the current guidelines, or in the current conditions. It's not clear yet how long these tariff wars are going to continue. They're economically non-viable, and led, or at least credited with leading to the Great Depression in the 1930s. But so 100 years later, we may be entering another Great Depression, sadly. But the ability to use AI to bring up localized resources in country, to build parts, build equipment, and then of course is to create and write the software that operates that stuff becomes ever more possible, because you don't need to skill up people anymore to do that. You just need to acquire the technology, and once acquired, of course, you can if you have the skills, you can modify and customize it. So with regard to trade and a trend towards regionalization, as we look at additive manufacturing and things like 3D printing and manufacturing, likely what we're going to see is at least over the short term, thanks to tariffs, a reduction in trade and a greater focus on regionalized production, where raw materials are moving between countries, but finished goods are largely being built in the countries in which they're going to be consumed. And as long as this trade war is ongoing, that trend is likely to be predominant. Once the trade war mitigates, then we'll likely again see a globalization and a focus on putting things where they're most economically viable. But AI changes that dynamic, because much like we saw with a heavy move of manufacturing to China because of low labor, manufacturing could easily move to areas that are highly automated, or advanced, are using advanced robotics and not using labor much at all, and thus conserving the costs that way. So there are going to be some rather dramatic shifts as AI matures, and particularly as robotics and automated manufacturing matures, as a result of the elimination of the human labor as the big determining factor with regard to where stuff is built. And as I say, with tariffs making it much less economically viable to build stuff in one place and transport it to another, that's likely going to accelerate that's going to drive the trend in AI, and advanced robotics will accelerate it. So that's where we're going. Probably a reduction in finished goods trade and an increase in raw materials trade, because a lot of materials like rare earth metals exist in very discrete areas that can be contained and controlled. China did a great job of locking up most of those resources, which is why there's kind of a feeding frenzy every time a new discovery is made, like was just recently made in Greenland with regard to these rare metals. So yeah, that's kind of where we're going. Probably over time, less trade in finished goods, a more regionalized manufacturing, largely automated, and more trade in raw materials to feed those spun up automated factories.
Excellent. Mr. David, my next question for you. How will advancements in AGI, artificial general intelligence, impact employment trends, and what strategies can be implemented to reskill the workforce?
Well, the advances in different AI tools will have very different impacts in how the industries they're in, how they're implemented, and other those. But the advancements, particularly in AGI, will dramatically reshape employment trends. And again, like we were saying before, it's going to present challenges and opportunities. So the impact at the high level is you're going to see, particularly AGI, very much increase the automation of not just simple tasks but complex tasks. You know, unlike narrow AI, which is most what we're using today, AGI can begin to perform a wide range of intellectual tasks, more complex tasks, including problem solving, creativity, and decision making. So you're going to see this lead to automation in industries that initially, when AI was brought out over decades ago, thought that they were immune to it. Like I mentioned, law, medicine, parts of government, creative arts, those are not going to be immune to, particularly with AGI. And you're going to see huge changes. One of the interesting studies I read talked about the role of AGI in government. And there's scenarios where, because you want consistency in decision making, that an AGI AI tool could replace many of the regulatory bodies in a government organization and a government bureaucracy, and have the consistency applied by the AGI AI tool, and take the human variability out, take the politics out in some ways. And so that's one place that you're going to see AGI hit on employment trends. You will see routine and repetitive tasks, as well as some knowledge-based roles face displacement as these AGI systems become more capable. You're going to see a shift in job demands. I mentioned this before, jobs requiring emotional intelligence, empathy, critical thinking, and human interaction are going to remain in demand. In fact, many people predict they will go up in demand because that, and you're going to see new roles emerging, like we talked about earlier with AGI development, oversight, particularly jobs that help go through the data, make it more ethical, to make it more standardized, to do data wrangling. And you're going to see new jobs and new roles, for example, in ethical governance that are going to go there. On the employment trends, you are going to see some income changes dramatically, and particularly if the AGI is concentrated among a few companies. So this is why it's important, going back to the discussion on the policymaker side, is that particularly as we go to AGI type of artificial intelligence, the policymakers need to help make sure that there is not economic polarization as we get to AGI. Just like Rob mentioned the tariffs earlier here in the United States, short-term AGI is going to have some significant disruptions in that labor market, because you have job losses in some sectors because we have not done a good job of reskilling, retraining people. But however, in the long term, AGI in particular is going to create entirely new industries and opportunities. And it's going to be much like the past technology evolutions. When we went from farming with pieces of wood to using stones to plow the fields, we displaced workers. When we went from having stones to horses pull steel to plow the fields, to when we went to tractors to plow the fields, each one of those displaced workers, but then they created new opportunities. And that's important for us, particularly as we go through AGI, to understand that there will be these peaks and growth periods that have to go through there as we invest there. So last point on this one. You have to have a strategy to reskill the workforce, like we talked about. You've heard me talk about lifelong learning, totally important here. Not just that government businesses should promote this continuous education, but we need to look at ways to change it, like online platforms. How can we do micro credentialing? How can we do boot camps and everything there? There needs to be a focus as we reskill on the human-centric skills. Areas where humans excel. And we need to look at interdisciplinary learning that can combine the technical skills and the soft skills. And particularly on the broader citizens as we go to AGI, we need to promote digital literacy so that workers at all levels have a understanding of AI and digital tools and what's good about them and what's not good about them so that you can work alongside these AGI tools effectively. And we really need to see how can we create safety nets for the people who are displaced during the periods of transition, career counseling, training, job placement services to help people shift from old positions to new positions. And see, it's not all just technology, it's all these other soft things, it's all the training, it's all the policies that have to be put in place. Those are the keys to answer your question, Sharif. Is all those have to come together to be able to implement and reskill the workforce and to elevate the economic development of the country.
Thank you, Mr. David. Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyam, my last question for you. What's your future plan with Rajbari? Can you unmute, please? Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyam, sir, can you unmute?
Yes. Thank you. Actually, Rajbari or Bangladesh is not a separate place from world. Now the AI is not just a technological shift; it is an economic and social transformation. If we act now, we can make Bangladesh elite. We can make uh, a very bright future in AI, ensuring inclusive growth for every region, including my country and especially including for Rajbari, my area. AI is an opportunity we must not miss. Together, through innovation, education, and collaboration, we can shape a brighter future for world and also my country in the AI economy, I think so. So my plan is if we go in in government, then we have to take the plan and we are determined to implement the AI for our people. And then we must talk with you. And you people that are very, very expert is here. They have given very valuable uh, speech here. And then we must talk with you to make a very good plan and policy on how to implement the AI in our country. This is my opinion. Thank you very much. It is very nice to meet with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyam, you want to invite my colleagues and my friends to Rajbari, to
Sure,
Bangladesh?
sure, 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 sure. It will be great thing for me. It will be great. I will be most delighted if you come here. And it is a very, very great thing if you come Rajbari. It's a very small town, but Rajbari is like a very. I was mayor here also for 15 years. I was mayor of this country. Sorry, this town, this township. And after that, I become member of parliament. So if you come my country to visit our people and also our environment, it will be a great thing for us. For me, I'll feel great honor if you come, and if you desire, then if you tell my son, Mr. Sharif, who is doing very well with you, So if you tell him, then I will arrange all and everything to your
Thank you. I'm sure
coming
by
there. But
I'm sure they will happy to visit Bangladesh. So, Mr. Rob, Mr. David, you want to visit Bangladesh and Rajbari especially?
Love visiting countries there. Would love to be Bangladesh. It would be an honor to be able to come and help you with your country and to understand some of the great nuances that are there. So it would be our honor.
Thank you. So
Same.
for Bangladesh, we have some discussions today. Uh, our honorable speakers and the politicians from Bangladesh, they do discuss on economic growth. So this AI economy is positioned to drive significant economic growth by enhancing productivity, improve efficiency, and fostering innovation across various sectors. We can focus on healthcare, agriculture, educations, and it will help to develop
good
AI
governance.
and everything. And beside that, it can create more job opportunities. Uh, it can create more job opportunities not only for Rajbari, it also can create more job opportunities for Bangladesh. So innovations in industries is very important. We always welcome the innovations. We always want AI is transforming various industries by introducing innovative technologies and all of the things. Definitely our speakers, they introduce some challenges like regulatory issues. So that's why we bring politicians like Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyams, how we can solve these regulatory issues for Bangladesh, and definitely the ethical concern. The data is the key. How country like Bangladesh monetize data, how they can enhance the economical capacities, how they can take their own decisions, how they can create more economic impact through AI, and how they can solve these job displacement issues. That is the today's discussions, and I believe that World Talent Economic Forum, with all of our intellectual activities, we can uplift city like Rajbari. We can uplift Bangladesh. We can uplift Nepal. Let's say we are closely working with ETT, iBeyonds. Mr. David Smith is a chief technology officer for iBeyond, so we can use their technology to monetize our data and like a micro data centers. Mr. Rob Endali is a strategic person. Also, Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyam is a very, very, very influential politicians and very good academicians who has the clear knowledge about modern science, engineering, and technology. And we are inventing technology from World Talent Economic Forum institutions. We already developed research centers in Daffodil International University, Bangladesh. Also, we are developing research centers with Chittagong Engineering University Business Incubations. So hopefully through this process, we can solve many complex problems, and I will be very happy if we can organize our next offline conference in Rajbari or in Dhaka. Thank you, Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyam. Thank you, Mr. David Smith. And thank you, Mr. Rob Enderle, for your excellent contributions for World Talent Economic Forums. But we need to take actions. Dialogue is one thing. We need to take actions. We need to solve our economical and social problems. And definitely, policy is important. So today we invite Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyam in our World Talent Economic Forum Advisory Board. Beside that, Mr. David Smith, he is our board of advisor. Mr. Rob Enderle is our board of advisors. There are many famous people from around the world. They are our board of advisors, including Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyam. Through this process, hopefully, we can uplift our economy. Thank you all. I request all of our audience, please share our content as much as possible with the government agency, with the corporation and academia. Mr. Ali Nawaz Mahmood Khoyams, I know you are very famous politicians. Hopefully today's session you will share with your audience. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care. Thank you.